Hello everyone, welcome to day number 2 of the Airthings Masters 2022. And today we're going to discuss the game between Magnus Carlsen and Pragnanandhaa. A 16-year-old Pragnanandhaa shocks Magnus Carlsen in round number 8. Carlsen was actually playing better chess today compared to yesterday, as he won round number 5 to round number 7. And in the last game for the day, he lost to the youngest participant of the tournament. This is a big boost to Pragnanandhaa's confidence, beating our champion. All right, let's go through the game. Magnus went for d4, Pragg went for knight f6, c4, e6, knight f3, d5. In this game, Magnus went for knight c3. Lately, Magnus was actually employing the Catalan with g3, but in this game, he went for knight c3. So Pragg went for the Tarrasch with c5, e3, knight c6, takes, bishop b5, takes. We have a symmetrical pawn structure. Bishop d6 cancels, h3, h6. Same structure for both sides. So are we expecting equality here? Oh, right. So we go for rook e1, bishop f5, knight into e5, rook c8. Normal developing move for both sides. Bishop f4, centralizing the rook c1. Okay, they are actually following the game between Vidit and Giri in last year's AIM Chess Rapid. Yeah. In that game, Giri went for rook e6 and drew later on. Well, Vidit and Giri, they worked together. Right? Vidit being the second of Anish. In this game, Pragnanandhaa went for queen b6. So I believe Pragnanandhaa knew this game and he was well prepared. So queen to b6, bishop takes e6. In order for you to keep up with the elite players, you need to be well prepared, especially the open. So takes on c6, knight a4. Black's problem is this backward pawn on c6. Queen a6, rook to e3, knight e4. Look at this. All right, outpost for black, outpost for white, with the protection of the bishop on f4 and the bishop on f5. White drives away the knight, but it only gives the knight a better square on e6 as it attacks the f4 bishop and also the d4 pawn. Rook c3. Carlsen continues his pressure on the c6 pawn. Queen d7. Pragnanandhaa ignores the c6 pawn. Again, he has this counterplay on f4 and d4 plus f6 is coming up to pin that bishop here. Bishop h2, knight into e6. Knight takes c6. Here Pragnanandhaa went for knight f4. He could have played bishop takes h2. This is a better version of the game. Yes, if king takes h2, only then you go knight f4. If Carlsen goes back to knight e5, okay, if you look at the game, knight f4 was played after knight e5, takes on e5, and then knight e3, but it's more or less equal. But compared it with bishop takes h2 first, takes, then knight e5, you have rook takes c3, rook takes c3, f6, driving away the knight, yes. The knight cannot go back to d3, so knight goes back to g4, then this rook steps on e2, attacking g2. If the knight protects g2, Pragnanandhaa has his bishop takes h3, exploiting the pin on the second rank. And this should win on the spot. He went for knight f4, giving Carlsen some chances. Knight e5, takes e5, takes e5, knight e3, takes e8, takes e8, takes e8, takes e8. Okay, we have a couple of exchanges, but black's pieces are more active. Look at the knight on d3, the bishop on f5, the queen to the bishop, bishop to the knight. This is a not so good looking bishop on h2. Right, the knight also on the rim on a4. Pragnanandhaa has the pass pawn. Okay, white is 1 pawn up, but black has the better position. Bishop goes to g3, giving some air for the king. d4, pass pawn must be pushed. And at the same time, it's also restricting the knight on a4. b3, queen c6, queen to d2, king h7. All right, moving away from the 8th rank. King h2, Carlsen somehow moves away as well. Bishop into g6, wow, same bishops, yeah. And this is a more stable square for the bishop, protected by the pawn on f7, compared to this bishop on g3, where the pawn is on f3. So queen a5, an active play by Magnus. He doesn't want to be passive on the d2 square. Okay, Pragnanandhaa now infiltrates white's position with queen c1. Yep. This is going to be a target, g1, f4, e2, right? Queen takes a7. Magnus doesn't sense the danger. Queen e3, of course, protecting the d4 pawns. Keep an eye on g1 still. Knight f4, knight e2 is on the horizon. Knight into c3, exploiting the pin on e3, but it's not the best move. It's actually a mistake. Carlsen could have just moved back. It was important to move back the queen, yeah. Because if the knight moves, for example, to f4, okay, you can probably go knight d6. If you go knight e2, you have your queen back to e1, right? Keep an eye on these two squares. It's important to take away g1 and g3 because those are the danger zones. Knight g3 was a mistake, and Pragnanandhaa exploited that mistake with knight f4, knight into d1, queen d2. The knight becomes a target. Knight f2, knight e2. Same plan, the g1, h4, Carlsen opens up that square for the king. Queen e1, queen d7, not allowing bishop f5 because, for example, if you go for, let's say, an a4 push, there's bishop f5, that being made on g1. Carlsen went for queen d7, nice move by Pragnanandhaa. Knight takes g3, queen takes on d4. Now, if Carlsen captures this knight, this queen takes e5, yes? If you go king h3, double attack on the queen and the king. And if you play f4, Pragnanandhaa has queen e3, the knight is dead on f2. So Carlsen was forced to play queen takes d4, his piece down, and black's pieces are so active, the king is not safe. Knight f1, king into h3, knight e3, blocking the queen from defending the f2 knight. Carlsen went for queen b2, protecting the knight on f2, and then Pragnanandhaa bishop c2. Right. First was the knight blocking the queen here, and now the bishop blocking the line. Amazing game by Praggi. And with that, he stops Magnus. Yeah, Magnus was about to go second place. Yeah, because Nepo was leading all the way. Magnus was catching up. He won his first 3 games. This was the last game, the 4th game, and the youngest participant defeated Magnus. This guy, this boy, has a bright future ahead of him. who knows? Pragnanandhaa will fight for the World Championship in the years to come. Yeah. Okay, so that was it. A very important win by Pragnanandhaa, the young Pragnanandhaa, against Magnus in the second day of the Airthings Masters 2022. All right, guys, thank you for watching. We will continue our coverage of the Airthings Masters on day number 3 tomorrow. Let's see you guys tomorrow. This is Coach Oliver. Stay safe, everyone. Bye-bye.